Hi, it's me, the Lady Miss VaginaJenkins, and it's time for Queer Astrology. I don't know if you remember me telling you, but a few weeks ago, I was looking for folks that were in a similar situation as me, looking to build their YouTube platforms and looking to not do it in isolation, to do it in some sort of community context. And so, yeah, I put out that call. I think about 6 people answered the call, and we just had our first meeting a little earlier today, and it went amazing. Such a good group of folks, such an incredibly diverse group of folks in terms of gender, age, ability. Yeah, I really appreciated that. So yeah, shout out to that group of folks and thank you for showing up. And also, if I had the ability to sit down with each one of you and look at your charts, I would love to share with you what I think of as your strengths as it comes to building one's YouTube platform. And in lieu of doing that, because I was not asked to do that, and we go where we are called and where we are desired. But yeah, in lieu of doing that, I thought I would make a YouTube video that applies to everyone to help you to do the same thing for yourself. So yeah, that's what this video is about. How to use astrology to help you accomplish what you would like to accomplish on this platform. I feel like the first and most foundational thing or piece of advice that I could offer would be to know what you want out of this platform. And I say that, you know, even as I said, oh, what you need to be on this YouTube platform. Everybody has different goals. Some people are looking to just expand the network for their work. Some people are looking to expand their communities in terms of community connections and shared intimacy, values, activism, that kind of thing. Or are you looking to monetize your YouTube page and reaching the monetization threshold and continuing to grow past that? What are your goals? I think that's just like the first foundational thing that one might consider, because each of the goals is going to reflect a different house in your chart. And so it's good to have your goals front of mind before you even break out your astrology chart. So that's the first piece of advice I would offer. The second piece, and I say this all the time, I think it would be really good to know your energetic signature. Looking at that part of your chart that breaks down all of the planetary placements and assigns them into one of the 4 elements, fire, air, earth, or water. It also would assign them into one of the 3 modes, cardinal, fixed, or mutable. And so, yeah, understanding how the different elements and different modes might have a different approach to doing this YouTube thing. For example, looking at the modes, cardinal, fixed, or mutable, I would imagine that a cardinal sign might approach YouTube as part of a marketing venture, because I often see cardinal signs in the entrepreneurial role. Oh my God, why is that so hard to say? I often see cardinal signs in the entrepreneur role. Okay. So that could be, you know, an area of focus. Fixed signs, I would imagine that you already have something set up, some sort of goal, some sort of plan in mind. And I'm wondering about how YouTube fits in with existing plans, existing projects. And so how do you incorporate that? Or is that a goal of yours to actually incorporate, you know, YouTube into an existing larger plan? And then for mutable signs, what would it be like to understand that your interest in YouTube may be something that changes over time? what would it be like to understand that all different sorts of platforms are going to have a varying level of interest, but depending on where your energy lies? And so to approach YouTube not from the perspective of staying consistent and doing something every week like the fixed signs do, but instead understanding that your energy might wax and wane, and then how can you plan for that and accept that as a reality. And then there's the part about what dominant elements are in your chart. Are you mostly fire, mostly air, mostly earth, mostly water? And what might that mean in terms of how you communicate, how you're received, what you even talk about on your YouTube channel? For fire dominance, I think that people might want to see what you're excited about, what is driving your passions. I also am curious about what it would be like to talk about your creativity somehow. Yes, you know, an obvious idea might be an arts channel or a channel devoted to my creative and artistic practices. But are there also other things that you are creating, new ways of thinking about the world? Is that something that you can share? Anything that you are particularly passionate about is going to be well received if you have a fire dominance. Air dominance, yes, talking about ideas might serve you well. Opening up conversations with people. So maybe doing more lives so that you can receive like direct feedback. I think when I think about air, I think about the exchange of ideas. So how could that be something that you center your channel on somehow? With earth signs, I think about what is tangible and what can be experienced with the five senses. When I think about earth signs, I definitely think about ASMR and also food. I know that's such a Taurus earth sign stereotype, but anything that we can experience with our five senses, you know, the taste part of the food and the mukbang channels, the hearing and that tingle that comes down your body from ASMR content. Can you speak about the experience of smell testing perfumes or taste testing different restaurants, or making your own recipes, or talking about what it means to be like a home cook, or maybe even being economical with your money as a home cook? Those are kinds of things that I would expect to see earth sign dominant person be more successful with. And if you have a heaviness of water energy, is that there anything that you can talk about in the realm of spirituality, emotions, feelings? I could see a sort of lifestyle channel where you talk about some really important and maybe heavier things like mental health, or your experience of addiction or anything like that. It's sharing these heartfelt experiences that people most relate to and can receive from water signs. I'm trying to think of another example of a really strong water sign sort of channel. Well, of course, like the tarot and divinatory channels, those definitely feel like water sign kinds of things. Or lifestyle content about how you engage in nurturing yourself. So yes, to like self-care, but like the deeper parts of self-care that help you feel as if you are nurturing your soul in the world. That's the kind of content that I would imagine from a water sign dominant person. So yeah, definitely check out your energetic signature. Do you have a dominance of fire, air, earth, water, or cardinal fixed mutable? It's definitely important to be aware of your energetic signature. I would also say, like, how can you cross-reference those things? Like, oh, I have a dominance in fixed energy and I have a dominance of water energy. So a fixed water sign is Scorpio. How could I approach my YouTube journey from a Scorpio sort of perspective, whether or not I have sun, moon, rising, or any kind of stellium in Scorpio. It's just we looked at that energy and it's kind of shaken down that way. So how could I approach my YouTube in a sort of Scorpio way, getting to the depths of things, confronting and speaking truth to power. Yeah, those are some examples of sort of Scorpio ways of being that I really admire. So yeah, definitely take a look at the energetic signature of your personal natal chart. You remember when I was talking about, oh, make sure that you know what it is that you want to accomplish? Let's go back to that for a second. Because if you're looking to build out an already existing network, I would say to look at your 11th house placements, or your 11th house sign, and if you have any planetary placements there, that can give you a lot of information about how you might go about collecting more people for your network. Because the 11th house builds on the work of the 10th, and the 10th is our professional reputation in the world, and then the 11th is the groups that we belong to as a result of that professional reputation. So definitely networking and marketing can go into that. If you're looking to monetize your YouTube page, maybe looking at your 2nd and 8th house axis. The 2nd house is how you earn money. The 8th house is the resources that are shared with you. So I'm thinking about the experience of earning money directly through YouTube and whatever you are promoting, and then how people might support the thing that you are promoting based on this 2nd, 8th house axis, what signs they're in, and if there are any planetary teachers there. I think everybody could benefit with looking at their midheaven. This is going to be marked as MC on your natal chart. And we'll definitely go through some examples of some charts. But yeah, MC, the midheaven on your chart, is like it's the equivalent of high noon on your chart, and it is the thing that people can most easily see and receive about you. And so I would definitely spend a lot of time thinking about what your midheaven is in terms of energetics. Is it fire, air, earth, water? Is it cardinal, fixed, mutable? And what any symbols, colors, that kind of thing are related to your midheaven. And the last thing that I would say looking at is your 6th house, which is partly about your health and partly about your daily routines. I think it's really important to look at the energy of the sign on your 6th house to understand how you can fit your YouTube channel into your daily life and have some sort of work-life balance. Yeah, I just want to go through a couple of quick charts and offer like some quick, points of advice. So let's check out a few charts. So I want to look at 3 example charts. This first example chart is my chart. We've seen it many times before. And yeah, in terms of the first point that I was focusing on, which is like, what is it that you want to do with YouTube or any social media platform? For me, my YouTube goal is 1, to expand my network and my community. And then 2, I really want to have YouTube as another stream of income. Right now, I'm making most of my income from my blogs at Patreon, patreon.com /VaginaJenkins, and buymeacoffee.com VaginaJenkins. I also, of course, do astrology readings, and that's a major part of my income, and also art sales through my website, VaginaJenkins.com. And then, yeah, I would like YouTube to be another part of that picture of how I earn money in the world. So knowing that and being grounded in that reality is really important to me. And so how would I find that on my chart? I would look to the 2nd house of earning money, and I would look at the 11th house of the groups and networks that I belong to, and have them help me inform how I might approach YouTube. So one thing is in terms of meeting the monetization threshold, I want to be putting in a little bit of work every day. You know, the second house in Capricorn is Saturn ruled, and Saturn is about hard work over time, and how that leads to success. And so, yeah, I'm constantly just doing a little bit of work here and there, 30 minutes to sit down and make a thumbnail, a couple of hours devoted to editing. I don't ever sit down and think, oh, okay, this is going to be a 12-hour workday, because that is not going to be compatible with my energetic signature. And we'll talk about that in a moment. The next thing, of course, that I would look at is the 11th house. How do I attract people to my groups and networks in a Libran way? It's a air sign, so communications, ideas, books, writing, that kind of thing. But it's an air sign ruled by Venus. So beautiful communications, being diplomatic, being kind in my speech. Yes, saying the hard things, because that's really important to me, just from the standpoint of my personal values, but saying the hard thing in a way that is easily accessed and received by people, is something that I think about when I think about how to do my gathering of my community. So that's something to consider. We also talked about the part about the energetic signature, and you'll see here that I have mostly fire placements and a balance between fixed energy and mutable energy. So yes, mostly fire placements. People want to hear about my creativity, and I do share my art and arts practice. They also wanted to hear about things that I'm particularly passionate and excited about. And so that's, I used to think that when I made this channel, that I should do, the videos. We've talked about this before, but I should do the videos that most other astrology accounts do. Like, oh, it's the sun, and here's the sun in Aries, and then this is the video for the sun in Taurus, and sun in Gemini, and on and on and on. And that felt so boring to me. And it was a conversation with a friend that helped me realize that maybe I should talk about things that I'm excited to talk about, not what I feel like I should be talking about. And so, yeah, that's that kind of fire energy that I am talking about. And then as far as the fixed and mutable energetic signature, it's, like I said, it's balanced, but I think that it is good for me to understand that, yes, I would like to have days that are devoted to different types of works, and I feel like that's the fixed energy of it. I don't know that I can schedule down to the hour, but my days look similar. I have work clumps, I have napping, resting clumps, I have decompression clumps, and so that feels like fixed energy that is mindful of this mutable energy signature, which is, I can make a menu of options, but I need to go by what I feel on the day. So yeah, having these clumps devoted to, okay, this could be a work clump, and then a menu of options of the type of work that I might like to do during that clump is useful to me. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say about the energetic signature part. Also, the part about the midheaven. This is the placement that I was talking about when I said that it was like the equivalent of high noon on your chart. It's the brightest place. It's the thing that people can most see about you in terms of just like your public reputation in the world. And it's often what they can see about you and what they are able to receive about you. And mine is in Virgo, a mutable earth sign. So again, that mutable energy going with the flow. Earth being consistent, though. And it's a hard dichotomy to hold, don't get me wrong. And then in terms of Virgo traits, when I think about Virgo, I definitely think about being one who adds value in some kind of way. I'm talking about the same astrology content sort of things that people are talking about all across this app, but I'm adding a unique value to it. I also, and the next part that I would look at is the midheaven. That's this MC symbol here. You'll remember me talking about it as the equivalent of high noon in a chart. It's what people can immediately see and receive about you. It's upon getting to know you a little better that they understand the rising sign of it all. But that first impression is often said to be like the midheaven. Mine is in Virgo, and when I think about Virgo, I think about the tendency to perfectionism, definitely trying to break myself of that, but also this reputation of being a person who adds value to any given conversation or situation. And I definitely feel like I try and channel that. I know that I'm creating the same content that any astrologer on YouTube is creating, right? We all talk about the same stuff. But I think that I'm adding a unique value by presenting things in my own autistic brained way. I think being detail oriented is part of the Virgo, or being perceived as detail oriented about things is part of the Virgo midheaven picture. Virgo is associated with, to a lesser extent than Saturn, but it is associated with time in that it's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is such a quick moving planet. Speaking of being ruled by Mercury, this is the planet of information. This is the planet of like exchange of ideas, writing, communicating, and talking and conversing with each other. And so that's why I try to keep a sort of expert or authoritative tone, but in a conversational kind of way. I associate Virgo with the color green, so you'll see like green in my background. I always wear the color green. Also, it's my favorite color, but I do associate Virgo with the colors of nature, greens, browns, that kind of thing. So yeah, that's the part about the midheaven. And then lastly, I'll say looking at the sixth house was something that we talked about as well. Again, the sixth house is how you do your daily routines, and those daily routines that maybe even inform how you feel in your body, your physical health, you know? And you'll see that mine, sixth house is in Taurus. But the other thing about the energy of like how my daily routines look with Taurus is, like I said, they're very fixed in terms of these are my work hours, these are my resting hours, these are my decompression hours. But I also keep in mind all of the mutable energy that I have in my chart as well, and how I need flexibility within that structure to be able to do my thing. So, yeah, that's my chart. Let's check out another example. So, this is a chart for a client of mine that wanted to put together a kind of podcast or call-in show for people that were professional gardeners, into agriculture, farming, that kind of thing, where they could call in and talk about basically, strategizing around different sorts of challenges, and just also building community. And so I would look to their third and ninth house for that particular endeavor, because the third house is so much about community and also the exchange of ideas, and the ninth house is so much about connecting to people from different cultures than you, as well as teaching information. And I say that because they wanted to start bringing guests on from their local community, but they had an idea about it being an international phenomenon, at least through North America. And so, what I see from their third house of how to connect to people in their local community and exchange ideas, that it looks like they might be most successful when they do that in a Scorpio kind of way, possibly talking about the deeper emotional feelings that came up with other people. And so, I think that's the tone that they were going for when they were talking about, building community by talking about overcoming the difficulties. And so, yeah, there would have to be frank discussions about the more challenging nature of the industry. And how could they be a person that was a container for excavating these deep, intense feelings and experiences and traumas maybe that came up, but being able to talk about them, um, and not shy away from them. I feel like that's a really strong Scorpio trait. And then in their ninth house of the teaching of information, they have Taurus, which is like I said, a fixed earth sign. And so, earth, yes, we're definitely into that, as gardeners or farmers or people into agriculture and sustainable farming practices and things like that. So I felt very heartened by that. And because their moon sign is there, it seemed useful to know that they would be emotionally invested in sharing the knowledge. And because these are both fixed signs, Scorpio is a fixed water sign, Taurus is a fixed earth sign, it felt like they would be able to stay the course. As it relates to building community, both in their local community and internationally. Now let's look at the part about their energetic signature. As you can see, most of their planets are Earth placements, and that feels really good in terms of the subject matter that they wanted to tackle. And I see that they have mostly mutable energy. And so, yeah, I would wonder about having more success at this if they were to have systems in place that allowed them to have a little bit of flexibility about doing the work. Maybe it's shifting the topic from from topic to topic every time they had the show, or maybe it was allowing themselves to focus on different tasks related to the show at different hours of the day or different days of the week. But yeah, how do you build in a flexibility as you're thinking about your work plans? That's going to be super important to this person. It's also interesting to note in terms of their energetics that the intersection of Earth and mutable is Virgo energy, and Virgo is associated with the goddess of the harvest, and so is so much associated with farming and agriculture. Virgo often has like what do you call that? A stalk of wheat in her hands. It's interesting. And then, yeah, let's check out the midheaven. That's this MC here, the brightest part in the chart, the things that people can see and receive about you. And theirs is in Gemini. And so I notice that, Gemini is a mutable air sign. Again, mutability, going with the flow of air, ideas, conversations, data, research, that kind of thing as well. Also ruled by Mercury. So yes, the importance of conversations is underlined once again in this chart. And so, yeah, that you would be known for the conversations, the ideas that you share seems right on par for a podcast or call-in show sort of host. And the last part that I'll look at is the sixth house, which is in Aquarius. Again, the sixth house is devoted to daily routines, particularly, daily routines that might influence our physical health. And with it being in Aquarius, I just would always want to underline for them that they should never be doing things the way that they think they should be done or ought to be done, but rather in some sort of unique way that is an authentic expression of themselves. That's very much the energy of Aquarius, is innovation, being a bit of an iconoclast, being a bit of a weirdo. And so, yeah, if they ever were to feel like, oh, you're supposed to do 20 minutes of writing and you're supposed to do 3 exercises per day, anything you feel like you are supposed to do is kind of the antithesis of Aquarian energy. So, yeah, keeping that in mind is going to be really important to that person. And let's look at one more chart. Let me see if I can find a good one. This third chart is for a client that I had that wanted to do tarot and other intuitive and divinatory readings on YouTube, mostly just to practice a form of spirituality that feels really important to them. And yeah, they just wanted to get into the habit of practicing and then figuring out if this is actually a platform that feels good for them. And so, in terms of the goal of just like furthering one's spiritual practice, I would look towards the 12th house for this. And the reason why I say that is because the 12th house is so much devoted to spirit, and it just popped out of me that they have this 12th house in Capricorn, and Capricorn is so much about putting in just a little bit of work every day over the period of a long time in order to be able to achieve success in whatever the endeavor is. And so, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me that this person was like, oh, yeah, I just want to be practicing my spirituality every day and making sure that I'm honing my skills a little bit every day. So, yeah, definitely, I feel like their goal is definitely a match for their energetic blueprint. So, yeah, looking at that 12th house for that particular goal. And then I also want to look at the part about their energetic signature here. I see that they have mostly air signs. So I see that they have mostly air signs in their chart, which is super important in terms of understanding one's mental landscape, being able to think about and convey information, translating information, particularly I'm thinking about spiritual downloads, being able to translate that information into accessible information for people. Um, so yeah, I think of that as one of their strengths as we look at their energetic signature. And this is another mutable sign dominant person. So yes, understanding the importance of how their energy, interest, attention might wax and wane throughout this. And then, yeah, how to maintain the goal that you want to maintain. The key to that might be in understanding this Capricorn energy, understanding that it doesn't need to be, again, these 12, 13-hour long work days, that it can just be, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a half hour a day, and that it need not be perfect and perfectly presented, but it's just the idea that you're practicing something that you feel responsible to, particularly as it relates to spirituality, a little bit every day. And that, that mutability, we could schedule that at any time of the day. Midheaven is here in the 11th house, and that 11th house is in Sagittarius. And so, yes, the midheaven being once again, the brightest place in the chart, the thing that people can see and receive about you. And yeah, presenting yourself in a Sagittarius way may be useful in terms of like gathering your subscribers, followers, your community, your network later on. But like I said, the emphasis was on just getting into the habit and the practice of doing this every day. But yeah, so this Sagittarius definite energy is definitely the energy of like higher belief systems, things that you feel are like your personal philosophies, and how one might be sharing or teaching them in the world. So that feels definitely like it's in alignment with what they'd like to do in terms of tarot divinatory practices. And that it's in the 11th house might mean that they actually are able to gather, like I said, their people in order, and that they might be able to gather their people by acting and presenting in these Sagittarian kinds of ways. I know that Sagittarius is associated with like some of the brighter fiery colors, the tangerine oranges, the bright fire engine red, hot pinks, that kind of thing. And that Sagittarius style is so much it can be so eclectic, or maybe even rooted in the traveling that they've done. Like, oh, this is definitely the person that's like, oh, I got this scarf in Bogota and this dress over in Italy, that kind of thing. Is something I think about when I think about Sagittarius ways of presenting themselves. And I also think about presenting themselves with a bit of good humor. It's kind of a goofball philosopher energy. And then, yeah, the last thing that I would look at is this sixth house in Cancer, and that they have a lot of planetary teachers here. Their sun, the thing that they're aspiring to, um, Mercury, how they communicate and think, Mars, the things that they are passionate about, all rooted in Cancerian energy, and it's a part of their daily life, their daily practice. And I guess the advice, and I remember actually saying this to them, is to honor. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon changes signs every 2.5 days or so. And I think it's really important for a person with a Cancer sixth house to just honor the ways in which, your energy is going to change pretty much every 2.5 days as the moon moves through its signs. And so, yeah, to be flexible and generous, and kind to yourself, as you're working through your daily routines, because they are not meant to be something that does not have space for waxing, waning energy and interest. So yeah, those are all of the example charts that I'll show you, and yeah. That's it. That's the video. That's what I got about how you might approach building your YouTube channel according to your energy. And of course, you don't have to apply this only to YouTube. I hate that I forgot that now until this moment. But yeah, this could be any social media platform. What do you want from it? What is the thing that people can receive from you? And how does your energy work as you are building up these things? It's something to think about for sure. All right, that's the video. That's what I got. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being subscribed. And thank you, as always, for making time for queer astrology. Bye, y'all. Love you.